Good Morning Liberty.
I think I just like you doing the intro and I'll do the outro, you know?
That's fine. So I do it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, what's up, all of our liberty-loving friends? It's another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston, and across from me is Mr. Charles Chuck Thompson. How's it going today, Chuck?
We just decided how that would go.
Just now.
Right before, yeah.
Yeah. What's up? Happy President's Day, man. You celebrating the great day of presidents?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite days that there are.
Mostly dead.
Most of them are dead. Yeah, most of the
Still
presidents.
getting Social Security, though.
Probably, yeah, probably. I think Thomas Jefferson still signed up on there for Social Security for
That's
sure.
Right.
Anyhow, that's the extent of our President's Day coverage. I hope you guys are having a great day off. If you did, in fact, take the day off, we clearly did not. We are working hard. By the way, you can come and hang out with us. You can come and hang out with us at the Libertarian Party of Tennessee State Convention in Chattanooga, Tennessee, on March 1st and 2nd. Be hanging out there. So go find the details on that, lptn.org. Go find the details on that and come hang out with us. And then also, last little bit of housekeeping here. Go follow us on X. Interact with us on X. We're getting better. You know, we're doing better. Get a lot more interactions, but that engagement rate needs to go up. So find a post that you like and like it or repost it or comment on there, whatever it is you want to do. I don't care. I don't care which one it is. Just go do some interacting with us on X. That is the closest you can get to like talking to us in real time, because I would say I'd probably spend about 8 hours a day with the X app open on my phone, which is bad.
That's better than email.
Oh, wait. Yeah, this has been the worst I've ever been at email. I've probably checked it 4 times this year, I would say.
Well, it's only February, so.
The new update made the email app just totally unusable to me, the new Apple update. So,
I use the Gmail app for my email.
Well, I heard that Apple basically made it into like the Gmail thing, and I can't do it. I hate it.
Really?
I can't stand it. So anyhow, don't do email. That's not how we talk anymore. Find us on X. You can send us a DM on X, and there's not a great chance that we'll check that either, but it's probably a higher likelihood than email. So anyhow,
the point is, if by getting to us, you get closer to Elon, you know. So
yeah, that's the main point. That's why you want to do it, right?
If you interact with us, you can then say, I interact with people that Elon Musk has interacted with.
Yeah. You're only 1 degree of separation at that point. That's all you got to do to get a little bit closer. 1 degree separation.
Yep.
Here's the Daytona 500. This is a pretty cool shot of the beast whipping around the track there, turning left. Good God, it's too loud, though. I don't know why it's so loud.
NASCAR's loud, man.
NASCAR's loud.
And Mr. President, the radio is yours.
There it is.
This is your favorite president. I'm a big fan. I am a really big fan of you people that you do this. I don't know, but I just want you to be safe. You're talented people, and you're great people and great Americans. Have a good day. Have a lot of fun, and I'll see you later.
Okay.
Was that like pre-recorded in a vacuum or something?
No, so that sound, I actually hadn't listened to the video, assuming that's all real. And that sound is a noise suppressor on it. I can't remember what you call that right now. It's slipping my mind. But when you put a noise suppressor on a microphone, it makes it super nasally and weird sounding. And so I'm assuming, since it's so loud and everything, race car track and all that, they had some kind of suppress. It's a silencer.
No, I know. It's just it's funny.
Well, I just wanted to explain that because I hadn't heard it yet. That's my first time actually listening to that.
Your favorite president?
God. Okay, so this is the part of the episode where we do unbiased speaking about something. This is dumb. This is pointless. Just so you guys know, if I were Elon Musk, I'd be upset about stuff like this, because you're like scraping by, trying to whip up every $20,000 savings you can find, you know, and you're like, okay, well, that kid might die because we just canceled that right there. And hey, it's all theft, so do it, you know. But this is probably multi-millions of dollars worth of state propaganda that we're watching right here, paid for by the taxpayers. I'm not a fan of it.
I don't really care.
I mean, you would if it were someone else.
You
would.
I don't.
You would.
No, when they were giving Obama hell about golfing, I didn't care.
Mm-hmm. Whatever. Yeah.
It's
All
the
right.
Here's the thing.
I mean, if it's this, or if they were going to spend $5 million feeding the poor, either way, you would be like, that is theft of American taxpayer money.
Well, yes,
Okay.
it's still theft.
So you need to at least care that much.
No, I do care about
All right.
that. Yes, I care about the theft part. But here's the real problem. You know, the CIA took out John F. Kennedy, and since then, they've had to beef up.
you to go to the
Well, they've had
the JFK assassination.
Since then, they've had to really beef up security. You know,
Yeah.
they gotta ride in a beast now. You know,
Yeah.
no longer, you can't be in a convertible.
Yeah.
You know, riding around Daytona.
You don't.
They've already tried to assassinate him a couple times. So
You don't have to be the pace car on Daytona 500, though. I mean, that's kind of optional. I'm saying you're not
True.
even running for re-election. It'd be another thing if you're running for re-election coming up in a few years. Like, this is his last term. This is nothing other than state propaganda. That's all it is.
but it's kind of cool.
Okay, sure, it's cool. It's America, but I don't think that base needed riled up anymore.
Here's the thing.
Either. You
Donald
know?
Trump
They could have
was-
put up a video of him saying something, and they would have been the same riled up.
Donald Trump is probably a huge Earnhardt fan. All right,
I'm sure he is.
He's always wanted to take a lap around Daytona.
He knows Rubbin's racing.
And this is his chance. He's the president of the United States. What are they going to do? Tell him no? Of course they won't. They wouldn't.
I know that. I know they would.
But
tell
I
him
mean,
no.
obviously, my first choice is that the $5-10 million, whatever this cost, wouldn't have been stolen from the taxpayers to begin with.
Yeah,
Of course.
yeah. Are you saying that this is actually the least destructive use of that money? Like, if
I
they're gonna
find
spend it?
this to be better than them giving the $10 million to Politico
Yeah,
to gaslight me into thinking that I'm crazy.
yeah.
Like, at least he's just an all-American, hairy, full-chested
American winning machine.
racing winning machine.
Yeah.
You know? At least.
He wakes up and he pisses excellence.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Yeah.
The guy's won the presidency
I
twice.
I got you.
You know? What's more American than that?
Listen, I feel like of all the talk that we're going to do about waste inside of the government, I don't want to lose my way when it comes to talking about government waste. And so I'm going to point out waste where I see it. And this is one where people on the left, where they're like, okay, I just saw them get 50,000 retweets because they canceled this $25,000 grant to someone, and then here's a $10 million expenditure to drive your car around the track. It's a little hypocritical. That's all I'm saying. If you're worried about all that stuff.
I'm not saying I doubt that.
It's because you know it is.
I'm just saying personally, I don't care.
I know you don't. See, that's the danger. That's the danger. All right, next thing where we're going to, I guess we'll disagree. We'll see. I do want to point out this tweet from Donald Trump, this X post from President Trump, where he says, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." And I get it. I get it. Napoleon had some good quotes. That's cool. This is a Napoleon quote. I get that. I just have a slight issue with this, is that saving your country can be very subjective, and that many people think that there are different ways to save a country. And so on a principled basis, that can't be a factual statement, because saving your country means different things to different people. Now, we could say there is an objective way to save your country, which is to decrease the amount of government spending, get rid of agencies, exit foreign wars, stuff like that. And we could say, like, objectively, that's a way to save your country. But I'm saying on a principled basis, Luigi Mangione could say the same thing, you know, and say, "Oh, I'm trying to save my country. I didn't violate any law. Look, the president said it," and put that up in court. You know, It's subjective, is what it is.
Yeah,
And,
or Bernie Sanders or AOC could be like,
you think Bernie Sanders not trying to save his country?
Yeah.
Of course he is. According to his values.
yeah.
You know?
You don't think Stalin or Lenin were trying to save their
Of course
country?
they were. Hitler was trying to save his country.
Yeah,
Wasn't he?
exactly.
Okay.
I agree with you on this one.
These are housekeeping items where I can't just be, you know, I've been excited about everything that's happening. I noticed this weekend on Saturday that I had seen a couple dumb things from Trump and from Musk that I thought were hypocritical. And what I realized on Saturday, I'm just being upfront and honest with you guys, it never occurred to me to put them in Dumb Bleep of the Week. It never once entered my mind to hold down on the bookmark thing and put it in dumb, because I have a natural bias. When I went back and I looked at them, I saw them again over the weekend. I was like, it's pretty dumb. You know, I don't remember what exactly it was, but I was like, I knew about that on Wednesday. I never once thought about putting it in Dumb Bleep of the Week. And so I'm just trying to level out right now. You know what I mean?
Step one, admit you have a problem.
Exactly.
So you're going through the steps.
Exactly.
Good.
See, this is why you can trust this show right here. Number one, this is why you can trust this show. Number two, this is why not everyone likes this show. It's actually very difficult for, you know, most people to enjoy this, because we just lost 75% of the audience in the first 5 minutes. So there we go. And they're never going to come back, because we're
what you're saying is you don't stroke Donald Trump's train.
No, I don't, whatever that is. All right, now let's get on to stroking Trump's train. The other
you got
thing,
like 1 foot on the MAGA train.
one on, one off, which is dangerous.
It is.
For sure.
You're living on the edge, man.
Over the weekend,
Bailey says you don't want to F Trump.
that's for women. That was an instruction for women.
Yeah, exactly.
Has to do that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Over the weekend, we had the 60 Minutes thing, which all of a sudden 60 Minutes was just everywhere last night, just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Before that had happened, there was J.D. Vance going over to Europe and giving some speeches. And
Munich.
that got a lot of play. It was almost like those things were choreographed together. You know, like they knew J.D. Vance was going to go there and raise hail and praise Dale, like what Trump's doing, you know.
Yeah.
He was going to go over there and raise hail. And so 60 Minutes had like kind of timed this whole thing concerning free speech in Germany and all that for really like at about the same time. It was weird that these two things happen on the same weekend.
And so we have a special episode of 69 Minutes coming up.
It's the 69 Minutes. That's what we called this.
Where we will debunk 60 Minutes. Yeah.
Every Monday we debunk 60 Minutes.
We will turn 60 Minutes upside down.
So there's a few versions of this speech. First off, I thought it was most of the stuff I heard in here was really great. I thought it was a great speech. Some of the clips I've seen were really good, and they were concerning to a lot of people who like to control other people. And let me play maybe this close to 3-minute section from this speech, because that's really going to lead us into one of the dumb things that occurred, which was CBS saying that the Holocaust happened because of too much free speech in Germany. So we'll need to talk about that. And then we have all of the other free speech clips that came out of that segment concerning Germany as well. So I thought it'd be good if we started with a little bit of what J.D. Vance had to say.
And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person, but no. This last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private...
So the thing I really like about this is that he goes up in a room full of people who probably disagree with him on all of these things, and he's like, listen, y'all, here's the deal. Y'all suck.
Yeah, this is insane.
Y'all suck.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think it's great. I think it's a really good thing for the U.S. to go out there and be champions of free speech again. I think that a lot of countries kind of follow our rhetoric and our movements, and as they've seen the U.S. government try to clamp down on free speech, it sort of opens that up for other places around the world. And I think it's good to set our policy, set it out right for those countries to know what it is and what it isn't, and maybe have them take that under consideration, that they don't want to get on our bad side when we see them as people who are violating human rights just with their stupid speech laws.
Also, you see the road we could have gone down.
Yeah,
and it does make you, or at least it makes me grateful that we're still in the United States and that we were able to kind of curb this direction that we were heading with, the Office of Misinformation and things like that were tried, that they tried to establish. We were able to thwart that. I think this is something, that Mike Benz talked about when America kind of infiltrated foreign governments to censor speech, and what they were doing at home, it kind of emboldened foreign governments abroad to start to implement these types of policies, which is just insanity.
Yeah, not only that, Mike Benz posted out, where is it? Where is that thing? Is it under the USAID thing? Let me see. Sorry for partying. Yeah, sorry. Mike Benz pointed out that in two things in the 60 Minutes episode, which we'll be talking about, that were in that, were talking about free speech and how these people in Germany think that it has to have boundaries. And then they also covered USAID in the same episode. And they said those two things, he said those two things are connected because USAID has been funding all of Europe's censorship organizations. And so we've actually been helping fund censorship around the world. And I think it's good to send the signal that we're not down with that anymore. That's not what we're doing. Okay. There was one other little clip of this that I liked.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
All right. That's that part of that newscast right there. So then we get to the interesting stuff that occurred on CBS afterwards, and then we got the 60 Minutes thing afterwards as well. This all seems choreographed.
Yeah.
Really. Like they timed up this whole thing to try and get at J.D. Vance, I guess, to offer up the other side of what I guess they knew he was going to be arguing while he was there. Here's Margaret Brennan before the clip that's gone everywhere. This is Margaret Brennan talking about J.D. Vance.
Well, it sounded to a lot of these allies of the United States like they were being described as adversaries or autocrats. It was really the focus here, two things. One of them was migration, and the second was what Vice President Vance calls censorship. He was trying to bring that MAGA.
I like how she says that. She almost said one was migration and the other one was censorship, but she had to say one was migration and the other was what Vice President J.D. Vance calls censorship.
Yeah.
It's censorship.
It's literal.
It's literal.
Yeah.
You can make the argument whether or not it's good censorship or bad censorship, but it's literally censorship. They're not, if the Germans were on that desk with you, they would say, yeah, it's censorship. Yeah. Only they might say it in German. I'm not sure. Yeah, something stupid sounding like that.
Message of the enemy within to the global stage. And specifically, he says that European leaders aren't showing that they have strong democracies when they sideline controversial groups. He went out of his way to meet with the head of the AfD. That's a political party that's under investigation in Germany because it's so far right and for potentially conducting extremism. And he mentioned that car ramming in Munich recently conducted by an Afghan migrant as an example of what he says is out of control migration. He says that's proof you've got to bring immigration skeptics into the government.
And so one issue that a lot of these people are taking with this is something she said, that he's describing the enemy within and saying that these democracies aren't that strong if they have to censor everyone's speech. And he's totally right about that. And I love the fact that we have someone in the government who's talking about the enemy within being the government.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I'm in favor of that right there for sure. And then a really, really stupid thing occurred when she was interviewing Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, where she makes the suggestion, the claim that the Holocaust was brought about by free speech in Germany. Yeah, we'll just listen to that. My God.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history. I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay.
Now, I guess because a lot of our conversation deals with free speech for things that people consider to be hate speech, like hate speech is free speech.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I wanted to be very charitable to her right now, I would say they allowed hate speech in Nazi Germany. Like as we see it today, you could say hateful things about Jews and, you know, you probably couldn't say hateful things about Nazis, I would say, but they allowed certain categories of hate speech against minority groups. And so in that way, you could say they had free speech because the things that you said were hateful towards people. But that wasn't really
saying free speech allowed the Nazis to speak freely and then thereby drumming up support and overtaking the country, you know.
Jake says, don't be charitable to these people, especially on my birthday. Happy birthday, Jake. Thanks for letting us know. Sorry. Yeah, she could be,
that's probably not what she was saying.
No, that's not really what she was saying. Like I said, I was trying to be a little bit charitable to her. But the thing is yeah, they didn't have free speech in Germany, and I posted out this little tweet here, or post or whatever. They had the Reichstag fire decree in 1933. It suspended several pieces of the Weimar Constitution, like your protections for free speech. That was one of the first ones that you didn't have free speech. Suspended freedom of the press, association, assembly. Took away all privacy in any of your communications, took away your protections against unlawful search and seizure, It also allowed the government to arrest and indefinitely detain political opponents, and it gave the government the power to override state and local laws in the name of national security. Once I typed out all that stuff, I had a thought there at the end of it, like, yikes. This sort of sounds like America. I don't know.
Yeah. Sounds like some things they've been doing in the name of national security.
It's really scary when you look at it, and that's why I made all of these look like unchecked boxes, because I was like, hey, you know, how many of these boxes do we check off here? And we still have pretty free speech. Now, the government has tried to go after free speech pretty hard. They tried to go after freedom of the press. You know, one of the dumb things I thought was that it's petty that Trump kicked the Associated Press out of the White House press corps, essentially because they refused to stop dead naming the Gulf of Mexico. And and so he's trying to protect,
I didn't see that,
the Gulf of America's right to be called as it chooses, which is the Gulf of America. And so he kicked them out. Now people are like, oh, this is censorship. This is what I'm like. What? We don't have a right to go get on Air Force One. You know, you're saying you know certain people have a right to go and do that. You don't have a right. To be. You have a right to report on things. You know, that's freedom of the press. But like, not all press outlets have access like that. You can't have a right to that access. You know, there's a certain number of seats on the plane or in the White House briefing room or
plus,
whatever.
Did you even want to be on Air Force One as it was flying over Daytona 500?
He didn't want to be there next to all those racist
hillbillies
that are out there, racist hillbillies.
White supremacists tuning their engines.
So anyhow, yeah, we seem to check off a lot of these boxes. I don't think the AP thing is an example of taking away freedom of the press, but I do think that, you know, raiding people in the press using the FBI, I think that trying to use NGOs, non-government organizations that are funded by the government, which makes it a government organization, by the way, to go after people's ad dollars that are, you know, to try and go after the Daily Wire or whatever. Like, you're literally using government money to form these NGOs, and then they're going to go after and try to create ad boycotts on people. Like, that's the government trying to censor speech, trying to censor the press. That's what it is, okay? Clearly, we don't have privacy in communications. We know that. Okay.
Snowden revealed that.
Yeah. I mean, that's been revealed. So anyhow, we check off a lot of these boxes.
And so does Europe.
Of course. Then they check off more than we do. Like, we have it better here than they have it in Europe, kind of. We do. You know, we're not going to get put in jail for posting a dank meme, you know.
Or for praying outside of an abortion clinic.
It's not something that's going to happen. There was that one guy that did get in trouble for posting that the election was on a different day or something like that, and having a phone number that voters could text or whatever. I can't remember the name of the guy. Okay, so now we get into the
what they got him under, the election fraud or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, now we get into some of the Germany stuff, and this is really a dumb bleep of the week, but some of these clips are just, my God. You know, here, let's just watch them together.
By the way, no pushback from 60 Minutes on any of this.
Not a lot of, no, they're just, you know, when they have someone on that they disagree with, you can tell because they'll push back on them, you know. But when it's someone that they're like, well, they're just telling their truth, you know, or / they agree with it, they're just like, how about
just
that?
Reporting.
You know? We're just reporting on what this guy thinks.
It's illegal to display Nazi symbolism, a swastika, or deny the Holocaust. That's clear. Is it a crime to insult somebody in public?
Yes, it is.
And it's a crime to insult them online as well?
Yes.
The fine could be even higher if you insult someone in the internet.
Why?
Because in internet, it stays there. If we are talking here face to face, you insult me, I insult you, okay, finish. But if you in the internet, if I insult you or a politician,
that sticks around forever.
Yeah.
The prosecutors explain German law also prohibits the spread of malicious gossip, violent threats, and fake quotes.
If somebody posts something that's not true, and then somebody else reposts it or likes it, are they committing a crime?
Yeah, in the case of reposting, it is a crime as well, because the reader can't distinguish whether you just invented this or just reposted it. That's the same for us.
The punishment for breaking...
Thank God they got rid of all those Nazis, right? That's good. That's a good thing they don't have those Nazis. Yeah, that would have been bad. Whew.
It's... Yeah, what Fat Max says here. The reposter can't distinguish either.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know? Oh, shoot. I accidentally reposted something that wasn't true. These people.
And just think about all the misinformation that comes from the government. Like, we just came out of one of the greatest examples of that, going through COVID. Just think of all the misinformation that comes from the government all the time.
They just revealed.
How much...
They just revealed, Politico just revealed that the data was wrong.
How much misinformation, disinformation, or whatever do we get on economics from the government on a daily basis? And who's to determine whether it's true? Like, maybe Bernie Sanders believes in his heart that there shouldn't be any billionaires, you know, and that all that money should be redistributed. And I would say, well, that's dumb, because then you destroy the incentive to create wealth, and all the things that they created wouldn't exist anymore, and we'd all just be dead.
According to these people anyway, truth is subjective. I thought you had, like, you could tell your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that was part of their ethos.
Not for this.
But not for this.
No.
Also, how many times have we proved fact checkers to be wrong?
A lot. Yeah.
God.
But they get to determine the truth, and here's a little bit more.
The criticism that, you know, this feels like the surveillance that Germany conducted 80 years ago. How do you respond to that? There is no...
Now, notice how she asked the question. You could be a journalist who says, this sounds like Nazism right now. This sounds like what Germany already came out of. Or she says, some critics say that this sounds like what Germany went through 80 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, which way is she going to ask the question? Well, in this case, they go, well, some critics say that could be this. And so what would you say to show? It's not me.
Or you could say, like, isn't this taking a page, like, directly out of Nazi Germany 80 years ago?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty... basically, you just can't post swastikas.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't use that. Everything else, I don't know. There seems to be a lot of similarities. We were talking about this earlier, and I called them left Nazis, not right Nazis. And that's what it sounds like to me. And this is not like a real thing. I just made this up. But the right Nazis had to do with you could say Jews and nationalism, maybe some kind of traditional values, and maybe they hated minorities or whatever it was. And the left Nazis still just use Nazism, but it's for all the left cultural values that there are.
Yeah, like eating billionaires. And
yeah, that kind of stuff. But it's still
private property.
Left Nazis. That's what I call it. So, all right.
No surveillance. Josephine Ballon is a CEO of Hate Aid, a Berlin-based human rights organization that supports victims of online violence. In the United States, a lot of people look at this and say, this is restricting free speech. It's a threat to democracy.
Free speech needs boundaries. And in the case of Germany, these boundaries are part of our constitution. Without boundaries, a very small group of people can rely on endless freedom to say anything that they want, while everyone else is scared and intimidated.
And your fear is that if people are freely attacked online, that they'll withdraw from the discussion.
This is not only a fear, it's already taking place. Already half of the internet users in Germany are afraid to express their political opinion, and they rarely participate.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, no.
Why would they be afraid?
No, they draw that correlation to hate speech.
Yeah.
And so that means people are... So when you answer a survey question that says, are you afraid to express your political opinion online in Germany? And when half of Germany answers yes, they've then said, well, that is because of the small minority of people who are posting some kind of hateful political speech.
Not because we created laws.
Not because we could put you in prison if you post something that we disagree with.
Yeah. I also like how she literally contradicted herself, and it wasn't even two sentences. I think it was the same sentence. Now, granted, English is probably not her first language, but she said, if you don't have boundaries around free speech, then a small group of people would have the freedom
to say whatever.
To just post willy-nilly.
And
harm people's feelings.
Imagine.
And we can't do that.
Imagine, Charlie, a Germany. Imagine a Germany where a small minority of people were not allowed to speak freely about the things that they cared about.
Yeah.
We just cannot have that.
Yeah.
You know, because wait, that kind of sounds like Germany, like in the 1930s and 40s, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
They're literally reinforcing Nazis.
Yeah.
Only they're the Nazis this time.
Yeah.
They're that.
Oh, look at the blonde hair, blue eyes.
I know. Look at that. That's a Nazi if I ever seen one right there.
That's a supreme Aryan right there.
And then we get to, which one is this? Is this where they're going through? Oh, this is like a raid on someone's home for some kind of internet violence. All right, here's a good one.
It's 6:01 on a Tuesday morning, and we were with state police as they raided this apartment in northwest Germany.
Everyone does it at 6 a.m. in the morning, by the way. That's like the thing. 6 a.m. is like the witching hour for governments or whatever. Like, that's when they come around.
Good thing you wake up at 4:45.
I know. I'm already ready to go. I'm out of the house before they get there.
Don't have one of your shakers of coffee.
Inside, 6 armed officers searched a suspect's home, then seized his laptop and cell phone. Prosecutors say those electronics may have been used to commit a crime. The crime, posting a racist cartoon online. At the exact same time, across Germany, more than 50 similar raids played out. Part of what prosecutors say is a coordinated effort to curb online hate speech in Germany.
This is 60 Minutes doing a documentary about a totalitarian state that is going around literally seizing people's property and arresting people because they posted speech that they don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can call
this is where we need. So this is a call to arms. Okay, but the arms is going to be your VPN.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so everybody switch your VPN over to Munich or something like that in Germany and just start posting.
And you can see why they ruled that Apple, that secret ruling that Apple had to give them access to the cloud. Because when I saw them, like, they had evidence bags, the guy's laptop and the guy's phone in the bag. And I'm like, this stuff's probably on the cloud anyway. You know, that's fine. You know, just get your new thing, sign into your ID, and poof, just right back there on your phone again. That's fine. But no, they want to force Apple to give access to the cloud for everyone, by the way, in the entire world. They want access to the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should be against this, and the U.S. government should be against this, and I'm kind of glad that they are right now. It's been such a unique time over the last month because I've never really supported anything the government's, like anyone in the government or anything they've done before.
This is just your bias showing.
So like it's really weird.
Nate.
Yeah. Well, I tried to start off with, you know, unbiased reporting on things that I disagree with. This is disgusting to me.
This makes me so mad. It's like I want to move to Germany and just start posting shit.
Yeah, I mean, you'll end up going to jail.
And yeah, but then just like, I don't know, man. I can't believe people are allowing this to happen.
One thing I hope is with Musk and X and the actual leaders and the U.S. government going out there and speaking out against it, that people might start to wake up about it just a little bit. I mean, they're going to keep trying to ban X for sure. Wouldn't be surprised if Elon got arrested if he ever went to Germany or something like that. But I don't know. It could be good. It could end up helping a lot of people around the world as far as free speech is concerned, because that stuff is disgusting. And they say that was over a racist meme. Prove it. I want to see it. Show me that racist meme.
Show me the meme.
Is it in fact funny? I want to know. Okay? I just want to know. I'm not saying because I would enjoy it. I just want to see the meme. I want to see how bad it was. Look at this evidence lockup right here. Look at all this evidence for hate speech.
It's hard at work.
Yeah.
How many cases are you working on at any time?
In our unit, we have about 3,500 cases per year.
9 investigators working.
Guys, imagine 10 cases a day, essentially, of hate speech online that they're actually prosecuting and going after. Now imagine what else they could be doing with all of that time. Like the bureaucracy that it takes for them to go after 10 new cases every single day of online hate speech.
And they have 9 folks, so a case a day.
Yeah.
Basically.
What else could they be
person.
going after?
Yeah.
Out of this office in a converted courthouse. Lau says they get hundreds of tips a month from police, watchdog groups, and victims.
You must see a lot of crazy stuff.
Yes.
The worst of the internet is wrapped in red case folders, stuffed with printouts of online slurs.
They've actually got printouts of memes and posts online. Like it's nuts.
And hate.
By the way, let me just point this out culturally, and I may get some hate for this, but this is literally toxic femininity. No, it is. Okay, because
it's weaponized compassion.
Well, not just weaponized compassion. It's okay. You have to think about, and I think Jordan Peterson points this out very clearly about how men and women and their differences take out aggression. Okay, men, it's typically physical, right? So that would be assaults. For women, it's reputation destruction. Okay, they don't have. Excuse me, if you'll pardon me. They don't have the physical attributes.
Are you
to
saying
really,
with all due respect?
With all due respect, to dole it out like men do, and so they rely on manipulation and reputation destruction. That's a marker for feminine antisocial behavior, and so this has literally now become like law where if you don't, take Mean Girls for example or whatever, if you don't like what Sally said. Or Richard, or they did, or you want to get them back, or whatever. You just report them to the government for hate speech, and they'll take anything out of context, and then you'll get arrested. Or you're like, wait, Bailey said, toxic empathy. You hurt this person's feelings because they interpreted something you said in a certain way that made them feel bad about themselves, and so now it's off to the gulags for you, or Auschwitz. But don't talk about it because then that's hate speech.
So you're saying that this is a problem with women?
No. I'm just saying this is an example.
You're in favor of banning speech for women.
This is when feminism goes too far.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that's the free speech portion of 60 Minutes, the JD Vance thing. Commented also about the wasteful loop around the track and the whatever saving the country, not violating laws.
Real quick though, from a woman in our Fed Haters Club, she said, "I'm saying it's a problem with women."
She's saying that.
Yeah,
we're not. Saying
I didn't say that.
She's saying
she said that. Right there in the Fed. If you don't believe me, join the Fed Haters Club. Join gmail.com.
No, it's a real thing.
Check it out for yourself.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A woman identifying as a woman is saying it's a problem with women. I never said that. She did.
He did not say that one single time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty good for today. If you're good, I'm good. You let me know.
You're not going to go on the USAID, the USAID?
I don't have the room in my bladder for that kind of thing.
Oh.
I mean, we could take a short bathroom break.
You just go. We just go 5 minutes.
We wanted to do that. We could do 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's go 5 minutes.
Let's test out the limits.
Let's push that bladder.
I think we should test out the limits of this bladder.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see. Here's a little clip from 60 Minutes. Of course, they did this little segment on USAID and, of course, the powers of Trump coming in. One funny part I saw was when they asked this constitutional law professor at Georgetown what the founding fathers would think about our current situation. And he was like, well, there's just, they changed their minds on a lot of stuff. So it wouldn't be, I wouldn't want to overgeneralize what they would think about this. But really, they'd be worried about the issues between the legislative and executive branch right now. Like, they'd be worried about that. I'd be like, no, they would tar and feather all of your asses right now.
Yeah.
They would be very, very upset about very obvious things. Yeah, your whole body, actually, not just the one.
Yeah.
We've seen flashpoints in these fights before. We've never seen this fight unfold across such a broad front and at such a basic level where a president is claiming so much of Congress's constitutional powers.
Stephen Vladeck is a professor of constitutional law at Georgetown University Law Center.
Fraud doesn't negate statutes that Congress has enacted. Fraud just provides an excuse for revisiting them. And so the problem is that you see these claims of fraud by President Trump, by Elon Musk, that really feel like they're fig leaves.
If it's a fig leaf, what are they covering up?
I think what we're really seeing is a consolidation of power. And so fraud provides a plausible sounding reason for running over what had been historical constraints, whether they were statutes or norms, limiting the president's ability to centralize power. The end game here seems to be controlling every single apparatus of the federal government directly out of the White House. And that's just never been how we've understood executive power.
Now, first off, I wouldn't even get to the part I was alluding to. That makes me mad because we just went through 100 years of Congress giving away its authority, its powers to the executive branch because it was too scary for them to have to win re-elections if they did the things that those agencies do. They don't want to put their names on it.
Congress statutorily seceded its power to the executive.
They consolidated the power.
Yes.
To the executive.
Yes.
And now what's funny is this consolidation of power is the executive saying, yeah, I don't want that power. Why don't you guys do it? I don't want to do that.
Right.
That's not for me.
That's
for you guys. We're not going to do that.
Wild.
You guys want to spend that money? You guys do that money, but it doesn't need to be under an executive agency. That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's the consolidation of power, is trying to give away the power. But he's being powerful in his attempt to give away his power. So you tell me. It's scary stuff.
In your view, what would the founders think of where we are today?
I mean, the founders were a they, not an it. Even James Madison changed his mind about 17 times between when he wrote the Constitution and when he was president.
Those were 17 different ways that he should murder all of the tyrants, by the way. It wasn't like he was like, oh, well, you know, tyranny, not tyranny, whatever. He's like, well, there are many different ways we could cut a person's head off, you know. And that's, you know, those were the 17 different mind changes, really. That he had.
Or there are many different ways in which tyranny can manifest itself.
Yeah.
Let me talk about those ways in which and how we should try to thwart them.
All right, here's the full.
James Madison changed his mind about 17 times between when he wrote the Constitution and when he was president. So I think it's hard to generalize. I do think the founders would be very worried about just how much the tension that I think they thought they were creating among the branches has broken down. I mean, the idea is that we want a zealous executive. We want a zealous Congress. We want a zealous courts, because if they push at each other, that's how we'll find the limits. That's how we'll ensure that there's healthy checks and balances. But I think we can no longer dispute that Congress, which is supposed to be providing rigorous oversight of the executive branch, which is supposed to be reining in abuses by the executive branch, by the courts too, has largely stopped doing any of that.
I mean, I think they would be worried about that and about 1 billion other things, for sure. Actually, like 36 trillion other things, for sure. I think they'd be upset that Congress gave away all their jobs to the president. And I think if the president was trying to reverse that, it's my opinion, they'd be pretty happy about that, actually. They're like, that agency shouldn't exist. You say it shouldn't exist. We say that because we didn't make it. And so we say it shouldn't exist too.
Is this not the executive pushing back?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean,
like,
isn't this
what he described?
Yeah,
like, this is the tension between those branches, and so and trying to find the limits of all of that and everything. So, yeah, I think he could have easily given an answer about what the founders would think about our government and the power it has, and I don't think that their first issue would be with things that Trump is doing. I think they would have had.
Yeah, I mean, to combat what the president's doing, the Congress can enact its own USAID and fund it.
They can.
But here's the thing. People would know that, and they would vote on it. And
they would have to vote line by line for each thing.
Yes.
Not disguise it under this USAID thing, and then have USAID have the discretion for what they were going to spend the money on.
Exactly.
Congress could say, we're going to do all of these specific programs, vote on each one of them, and that would be a different thing, but they wouldn't do that because the American people wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be fine with it.
More from this woman in the group that says, see another woman problem, fear of accountability. It's just, we're being ravaged by toxic femininity.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
really funny. These are probably all going to be in Dumb Bleep of the Week. This guy's like, USAID. You talking about USAID? I mean, this is the kind of agency that when you walk in there, you're like, screw you guys. I'm hanging out with USAID. You know, it would light up a room. Okay. And it was known for its integrity as most what it was known for. Okay. I thought this was a pretty funny clip.
About USAID, President Trump has said, quote, billions of dollars have been stolen. The whole thing is a fraud.
It's utter nonsense. The most accountable aid agency in the world is USAID. I've written actually widely on this subject. 40% of the staff are accountants and lawyers and people trying to make sure no money is stolen. We've created systems to monitor that. What they
Always
did
see
was
those honest lawyers.
Yeah. When I think of lawyers and accountants,
integrity is the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, the top marker.
You know, like 40% of El Chapo's staff is lawyers and accountants, you know. It's one of the more honest.
Went back 20 years to try to find things. If you have to go back 20 years to find abuse, that means there isn't that much abuse.
USAID spending in 2023 was $38 billion. That's less than 1% of the federal budget. Natsios told us there is waste and occasional fraud like any big agency. Think of the Pentagon. But the money, he says, is watched by officials, including those in the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget.
The question is, why did the Congress approve?
You know it's a very efficient and accountable agency because the government is watching it. And so, like, the Office of Management and Budget, they see what USAID is doing, the amount of money they're spending, and they didn't have an issue with it. And so what are you guys upset with?
Yeah, don't you think if there was fraud and abuse, they would have blown the whistle?
If the government looks at what the government's doing and said the government didn't do anything wrong and is not wasting any taxpayer money, then who are you going to trust if you don't trust that? Come on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right,
go to the integrity part real quick.
Is that this one?
Is it in this approve all these contracts and grants and programs all these years? Why did OMB approve them? Why did the State Department, F Office? The F Office controls all foreign aid spending.
No, you're thinking about the other one.
Yeah.
This one right here, I believe.
Randy Chester has worked for USAID 21 years under 4 presidents, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. He represents the agency workforce for the American Foreign Service Association. Doge arrived at USAID January 27th, and that same day, USAID's top 58 managers were given 45 minutes to get out. The 58 senior managers, how would you describe them?
They're the best professionals I've had the privilege to work with or work under. Their integrity is without question. I think to a person, they believe in the mission of USAID and they believe in the ideals of public service.
Randy.
So this guy who's been there 21 years. Yeah.
Can we stop calling
not a thing to say.
Can we stop calling it public service, by the way? Like, if you give someone $40 billion and then they do stuff with it and they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, like, they're not really serving. I mean, they could say that what they're doing is serving the public, but I think that's right. I think someone who is working in the free market, like, they're serving the public because when the public gets something from them, they say thank you because there was a voluntary transaction involved with it. There's no voluntary transactions happening here. They steal money from the taxpayers. You got no say-so over it unless you want to spend $1 billion on elections to try and change the outcome of this agency or whatever. You got no say-so. And so stop calling these people freaking public servants, okay? That as someone who works at a business who receives money voluntarily, they're providing an actual service to people. These people are providing a scam, a fraud. The whole thing is a fraud. I don't care if it's $38 billion. I don't care if it's $1 billion. Whichever one it is, that's $1 billion of other people's money that we didn't voluntarily choose to give them. So I'm sick of people saying public servants. I'm over it.
Yeah, they're supposed to be public servants.
Yeah.
You know, the people in government are supposed to serve the public.
No.
They're supposed to represent you. the taxpayer, and they do none of that.
No, especially when they're in an unelected bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got to go.
All right, y'all. Well, if you enjoyed today's episode, please share the show with a friend, a family member, or a foe. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to GodHatesFeds.com. God hates bureaucrats, you know? He hates the feds.
I would make a website like that, though. I can never spell that word. I couldn't spell it right now. It has to spell check for me every time.
Well, you can go to joingml.com. That's pretty simple. Joingml.com. Be part of the Fed Haters Club. Review and subscribe to the sponsors that support this show. Support them. They support us. It's like funneling money through the government, except you're doing it through private corporations.
Funnel it through them, and some of it flows down to us.
They provide you a good or service. You spend dollars with them. They provide you with an actual good or service.
Are you saying gooder? Or are you saying good or?
Good or.
Good or service.
Good
okay.
or.
I mean, I like gooder services too, like whatever it's gooder than.
Yeah, the gooder services too.
Yeah.
And then they funnel a little bit of money back to us. It's a win-win-win-win-win all the way around, no matter how you slice it up.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's a pie.
All right. See you guys later.
Do all those things or don't. I don't really care, but Nate does. And if you do, we'll be back again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.
Feel like an all-American.